All right. When does jiu-jitsu get fun? When is it the day you're going to be able to wake up and you're going to have a nice, deep, relaxing sigh that you're not going to be getting smashed and beat up all day, and you're actually going to come and you're going to be working on something and you're going to have your own game? And when will jiu-jitsu be fun? And I think I might have the answer, so let's talk about it. So I was sitting back and I remember I was scrolling online and I seen someone say, yo, like, when does this get fun? Because I'm trying my hardest and this is not fun. And in my opinion, I read some of the comments. Some people are like, oh, well, just keep showing up, just keep showing up, and one day it's just gonna magically fall out the sky like a magical weapon from a fantasy story. And I'm just reading these comments, and if you have maybe an answer of when does jiu-jitsu get fun, or when does MMA, when does martial arts, when does this stuff get fun, type away as I talk about this. But I believe it could be fun now. I don't really think you have to sit back and wait for a year, 2 years, 2 weeks. It could be fun now. The problem is that you need to have a direction of what you're going for. And I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to just anything, really, any skill set, especially competition based, no one has anything to focus on or any like idea of what exactly they're going for. And I know some people are probably thinking like, well, how do you know what to go for? And I think maybe that's the problem. It's definitely a skill issue. It's the problem maybe with the coach. It could be a problem with you. I actually noticed that there are some people right now who are thinking about getting into jiu-jitsu, and they're looking around, they're trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I make this look fun? So we're going to explain this. And by the way, let me give a quick disclaimer. People, I don't know why some people say, oh, I got through like 2 or 3 minutes of your whole conversation out of a 15-minute video and I didn't get no information. Bruh, like, this is conceptual jiu-jitsu. If you want some cool stuff, I've made a library of short form content where you could just go look at my highlights. And, people got tired of that, so here we are. I'm about to start breaking this stuff down. So we're going to talk about when this gets fun. So patience, my man. Just have patience. This is what these videos are about. I want us to sit down and be campy about it. I want people to feel like, like if there's something on their mind, a topic, I want to be that type of content creator where you feel like I really just play around with every single angle of that thought process. I had to give that. I'm probably going to be saying that a lot on my videos. Maybe I could condense it down a little bit, but this is conceptual jiu-jitsu. So, when does this get fun? How do you make it fun? What do you do? Maybe you're looking and you're trying to figure out, maybe there's some pointers. I believe it's the submissions. I believe, and let's say maybe you didn't, well, honestly, I don't care what no one says. Who comes into this art not trying to submit somebody? That's the whole point. The whole point of people coming into martial arts is literally to be a badass. And if you come into jiu-jitsu, it's because you want to submit people. You know what I'm saying? So then you're probably thinking, well, it's hard to submit the higher belts, or I'm brand new and I quite don't get it. Well, the thing is you need to know what you're looking for. And the only way to know what you're looking for, in my personal opinion, is the submissions. I think the submissions are the easiest thing to go for. And it's not so much as I'm saying go to the gym right now on your first day and get a submission. It's just knowing what submission you're trying to get. And to be honest, how do I express this sentiment? Because I've been trying to. Everyone argues with me about this. They're like, oh no, it's the people you meet along the way. No, you want to be a badass. Am I right? This is why you're here. This is why you're scouting, trying to figure out and understand jiu-jitsu. You want to have fun. You want to be a badass. That's why we do this stuff. But it's the submissions. So what was I going with this? There we go. Sometimes I go into tangents. I'm sorry. So what you need to do is you need to be able to drill. You need to Search up right now. Like, go back to exactly what got you into the sport. What was the moment that made you realize I need to do jiu-jitsu? Some people, they would have seen maybe an MMA fight, and they would have seen a particular guy fighting another guy, and maybe this guy ended the match with a submission. So for me, to give you an example, is when I first was starting off jiu-jitsu, there was this basketball. It's on the internet. If I look hard enough, I can find it. But it was this guy in the basketball court, and they started chirping away. It was a black guy, and it was I don't know, racially ambiguous. Let's just say white guy. Let's just say it's easier to follow. So the black guy tries to sneak attack the white guy, and the white guy ends up, after a couple of scuffles, he ends up with basically a leg lock, and he's telling the black guy if he moves, he's gonna break his legs. Now, at the time, I didn't understand like what was going on, but to me, like, based on the way the black guy was like reacting, and he was like basically kind of pleading for his life in a way, I was like, that was one of the main things that made me say, oh, like, I want to get into leg locks, you know? So when I finally got into jiu-jitsu, for example, and I started off in the gi, in gi, they're not really a big fan of leg locks, so I just kind of accepted that maybe I would just have to wait until I'm a higher belt. But once I went to no-gi at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, the first day we was learning leg locks, and it just, honestly, I felt like that made jiu-jitsu a lot easier, and it made it more fun for me because I was finally practicing exactly what drew me to the sport in the first place. So you need to understand, and you need to recognize and remember what drew you into this sport in the first place. Like, yes, okay, you're going into these your dojo, right? And you're learning the curriculum, but that is not what got you into this sport. It was something that you learned. So what I suggest, now you see how we got 7 minutes in, now here's the actual suggestion. People don't know that. The gems is in the middle of the video. So my actual suggestion that you should do is, first, you need to do some introspection. Look into yourself. Find out what exactly you like that drew you into jiu-jitsu specifically. Even if it wasn't a submission, maybe it was some type of an escape from a submission. Maybe it was a position that you saw that made you, like, it's something that drew you to it. You come to class, you learn the curriculum, and then when you get a chance on the side, you start drilling whatever drew you to this art. Start finding out all about it. Start going online. You have a source here. If you're on this video, type and say, hey, what's up with this? Because one thing I want to start doing, I've been doing a lot of beginner videos, but I want to get into a psychology series. Like, what's the psychology of a person that goes for guillotines? What's the psychology of a person that goes for rear naked chokes? The arm bars. I feel like there's a psychology for each person, and for me, as a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, I see, like, there's certain colors that each submission gives off for me now. So for example, I see red when it comes to guillotines. I see blue when it comes to rear naked chokes. I see green when it comes to triangle chokes. I see yellow when it comes to kimuras. So there's a psychology that's happening here, and you don't recognize it. But for a lot of people, when they finally figure out what makes it fun, I believe something goes on in the brain, like there's like a dopamine that's happening, and no one's talking about that. But I think about this all the time. I think about this a lot. So there's a psychology that you need to figure out that drew you to the art, and you need to scratch that itch. I think that's the problem. So when does jiu-jitsu get fun? It gets fun when it's about to sound cliche, it gets fun when you know yourself. It gets fun when you know what you're working on. And it gets fun when now you can wake up, like, you could be a brand new day one white belt. Maybe you saw some wrestling, a wrestling move or something, and you want to learn wrestling in jiu-jitsu, right? That's what you came to learn. So you woke up today and you came to learn wrestling. So what you do, you come to class, you sit back, right? Check this out. This is how it gets fun. Now I'm having fun just thinking about this idea. I want to do wrestling. This is imagining. first day, I go to the class. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what close guard is. I don't know what sweeping is. I don't know what grips. I don't know what none of this stuff is. But I'm learning the curriculum. Then I turn around and I go through it. Don't ask no questions. It's time to spar. I spar. I get beat up. Everyone's smashing me. There's going to be a person in the gym that you could talk to. Ask them a question. Hey, or maybe there's going to be somebody that you can build a bond with. Maybe it's another white belt who's learning just with you, right? And you say, hey, like, I want to learn some wrestling. I want to learn this wrestling move. Maybe you don't know any wrestling, or you can ask, like, hey, like, I would say if you want to learn wrestling, double leg takedown, right? You can find a piece by piece, and now every day you're waking up grabbing different pieces and putting it to the puzzle. Then, now that once you finally know exactly what you want, the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is you have resources like this where you can come ask me, or you can go online, type it up, find out more. Because jiu-jitsu is like a it's like a factorization, or it's fractal. Like, imagine like you have wrestling, right? And there's like pieces that, like a factor tree that just comes out of it, and there's just more and more pieces until you get to a root, basically. And that's jiu-jitsu. And you just gotta break it down, deconstruct it until you get to the root. And to me, that's where it becomes fun. Jiu-jitsu is all about patterns. When you understand jiu-jitsu is all about patterns, and you start breaking these patterns down to its single cell, its single source, that's when it gets fun. But people don't understand it. This is why I created this, because jiu-jitsu is a thinking man's martial art. A lot of people don't get this. It's not like MMA. It's totally different. It's a thinking man's martial art. That means that the majority that you do in this art, it requires you to have done some type of studying, or requires some type of thinking before you do some type of movement. A lot of people don't get that, and they hate that, or they just go out. But if you want to get better and you want this to be fun, you have to put some thought into it. You can't just, that's in anything though. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, but to me, a lot of people just don't. I guess that's it. That's really like the best I could tell you. Or another thing too, let's say maybe you couldn't find anything fun, or you can't. In another video,